It has been a while since former Colorado Congressman Tom Tancredo was on the program, and I'm pleased to welcome him back. He used to represent Colorado's 6th District and took a good run at the governor's race here recently. Congressman, welcome back.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to join you, Tom.
I wanted to talk to you about, you're a Republican, and you wrote this piece, Impeach Obama if he grants executive amnesty in the context of immigrants. I have a letter. This is the general counsel opinion, right? The White House lawyer's opinion. It says, you have asked for my opinion regarding the authority of the service, this is the INS, to exercise prosecutorial discretion in administrative proceedings arising under the Immigration and Nationality Act. You've also asked for my opinion regarding the appropriate time and manner for the exercise of such discretion. Prosecutorial discretion refers to the power of a law enforcement official to decide whether or not to commence or proceed with action against a possible law violator. The reasons for the exercise of the prosecutorial discretion are both practical and humanitarian. There are simply not enough resources to enforce all the rules and regulations presently on the books. As a practical matter, therefore, you have to make policy choices as to the most effective and desirable way to deploy these limited resources. He goes on to say the ultimate source for the exercise of prosecutorial discretion in the federal government is the power of the president. Under Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution, the executive power is vested in the president, and it says that the president shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed. This was by Sam Bernsen, who was the general counsel to President Gerald Ford. And using this doctrine, quoting this doctrine, in fact, President George Bush granted amnesty to 5,500 foreign academic students affected by Hurricane Katrina in 2005 when you were in Congress. Why is it that when Jerry Ford does it and George Bush does it, it's okay, and when Barack Obama does it, it's worthy of impeachment?
Well, I wouldn't have said it was okay even before, of course, and the arguments I've had with the administration over this issue go back a long, long time. It is not simply this one thing that I think comprises a legitimate call for an impeachment resolution. It is and the article to which you refer, of course, focused in on just that one thing. But and I've written about 4 articles in WorldNet Daily in which I've laid out what I believe to be a much broader and much more serious cause for alarm in terms of what this president has done. So it's not just this thing. You can go back to, in fact, 2011, when the president actually bribed a congressman in Pennsylvania to try to get him and offered him a job in order to not have him run for the Senate seat. The Constitution is very clear when it lays out the issues for impeachment. It says treason, bribery, and other high crimes and misdemeanors. Now, those high crimes and misdemeanors are indeed determined by Congress. There's no set of law that you can look to and say, well, here's all the high crimes and misdemeanors that become eligible for impeachment. It's a totally congressionally determined action. So it starts there. It goes. We can then add to it things like using the IRS to go after his political opponents, lying about Benghazi, lying about I don't know if you recall what Fast and Furious was, and that's another issue. Well, let's first explain that.
Haven't all 3 of those issues been completely discredited?
No, not in the slightest. Only in your mind, perhaps, or in the minds of most liberals. But
by the Republicans in the House of Representatives.
By Republicans, certainly I have not seen that to be the case. And one of the things that I think it's important to do this for is because we tend to forget all of the things that have occurred. At least a bill of impeachment brings them out, and it begins the process of determining the exact nature of the involvement by the president. Yeah. And that's what's, I think, very important for us to do because, as I said in the article to which you refer, I always fear that if you don't do this, then you have established a really bad precedent for the next dictator-in-chief who wants to move even farther toward establishing the presidency as a sort of, as I say, a position that does not have any regard for the Constitution and/or the separation of powers.
I'm curious. There are three branches of government. The third is the judiciary, and the Supreme Court, which Article 3, Section 2 of the Constitution says shall operate under regulations established by Congress and conditions and regulations. And Congress has, in fact, passed laws in the past and built into those laws saying the Supreme Court may not overturn this law.
Right.
And has the authority to do that. But the Supreme Court, with the doctrine of judicial review, has, in a variety of cases, and the ones that Phyllis Schlafly comes on this program and points to are Brown v. Board and Roe v. Wade. The ones that progressive lawyers come on this program and point to are Citizens United and Buckley versus Vallejo. The Supreme Court is creating law, literally creating law, which is not provided for in the Constitution.
True.
Are you as concerned about impeaching Supreme Court justices as you are about the president?
Yeah, well, you know what? I guess we can only take one thing at a time here, but I certainly agree that the actions of the Supreme Court have gone beyond what the Constitution has empowered them to do. But in a way, it does go back to what the Congress is willing to do, because the Congress does have the power to say, thank you very much, as was it, I think it was President Jackson, Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, Andrew Jackson ignored he said George Marshall has made his decision, let him enforce it.
Let him enforce it, that's right. And
or
so
John
there
Marshall.
is I think there's certainly reason to believe that the Congress and even the President have abdicated their authority and duty there. It's just that the actions of a president in this regard, as I say, over a long period of time, and the use of these executive orders to actually create law as opposed to interpret them.
Why do you think your party is not with you on this?
Because they're petrified of the reaction. The last time this happened, you recall, there was absolutely a reaction to it that was negative for the Republican Party. They lost a lot of seats, and they're afraid of doing the same. And I understand that. And as I said in the article, I understand the political implications of doing this, and they're frightened of doing so. But if it's the right thing to do, we should not let that stop us. But I understand totally that this is not the world in which most people live in terms of, especially in Washington, D.C., all decisions are based upon the politics of them. But it's too bad because, and I think even if you didn't, even if the impeachment process did not even reach the stage of a hearing in the House, if you had a bill of impeachment, if it was even introduced, even if it didn't go farther than that, and if you could just lay out the case so that the American people could make
Do you have a congressman in the House
I think that would be a positive.
Do you know of a congressman in the House who might drop a bill like that?
I don't. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say. I mean, I'm not there anymore. But,
yeah.
It is, and if he did, I'm positive it would not see the light. It would not even get to a committee.
Yeah, John Boehner's not going to let this thing out.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. Former Congressman Tom Tancredo from Colorado. Let's see. T Tancredo is the Twitter account. And do you have a website, sir?
No, not
okay.
Not anymore.
Okay. Congressman, hang on just a second.
Hartmann Program.
Congressman, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you. We'll be back.